with journals, art, projects, organized, planner chic.
Well, hello, planner babes, and welcome to Organized Planner Chic. I'm Lucinda, and if you haven't subscribed already, please do so and select the bell for notifications. Well, first, I want to thank all my Patreon members who help make it possible to create videos like this. Well, thank you guys so much. And if you're interested in supporting me on Patreon, just go to patreon.com/organizedplannerchic. Okay, you guys, I am so excited. Christmas season is upon us, and I have started decorating my craft room with my favorite colors for this area. Of course, pink and green, non-traditional. Well, green is a traditional color, but not necessarily pink. And it's been so fun, and I've got a lot more videos to share with you guys as I completely decorate this space. So let's get into the first DIY for creating my Christmas craft room. Okay, you guys, if you hear a little bit of noise, it's nighttime and the air is nice and cool and beautiful and cars are driving past, so forgive me for that. But we're going to start off with the ornaments for this DIY Christmas tree that we're doing. As you can see, I already painted some of these pieces because I used some of them in a previous DIY in my last DIY Dollar Tree activities or projects for planners, so be sure and check that out. But this was a set, or actually I bought 3 sets of these wooden sticker Christmas ornaments from Dollar Tree, and it was the snowflakes. They were all plain wood, and Christmas trees. And then, well, the snowflakes and the Christmas trees were plain wood, and then there were also some stars that you'll see here in a little bit that were already painted somehow with gold glittery stuff. So I painted the snowflakes already with pink paint from Dollar Tree, acrylic paint, and now I'm finishing painting the wooden Christmas trees with some sort of forest green colored acrylic paint from Dollar Tree. And then this container that the paint is in was actually from Dollar Tree as well. It originally held some coconut oil lotion, and after I used all of the lotion, then I just washed it out and took off the sticker label, which pulled off really easy. I didn't have to soak it in water or anything. And then it has a brown top that's all plastic, and I just reuse that to store extra paint or just to hold paint whenever I'm doing projects, and it works really well. I have several of those for different things. I just love repurposing things and being able to use things, especially if they're plastic, so that I don't have to throw them away or recycle them, and just keep them in use. Because if you guys don't know, a lot of things that we send to recycle actually don't wind up being recycled. Okay, now I did paint each of these 2 coats. So those are the gold stars that are already ready, no painting required. But I did 2 coats of the green, and I had 2 coats of the pink. And these containers that they're being held in, these stoneware containers, came from Dollar Tree as well. They're in the kitchen section. So I like to use them when I'm separating supplies like that. So now the ornaments are done, and I am getting ready to make the Christmas tree. So this is just a Dollar Tree poster board. Actually, they're 2 for $1. I was going to say $1. The foam board is $1, but the poster board is 2 for $1. And I am folding it vertically in half so that I can have the center of my Christmas tree along the fold, and I know that each side will be equal, 100%. And it's best if you can get the fold to be as perfect as you can, because then that'll make sure everything lines up. Now, you don't really have to use, well, yeah, I was going to say you don't really have to use your bone folder. You can use scissors or a pencil or something, but you really smooth out that fold because it's going to look nice and neat in the end. Now, I drew the diagonal. At first, I didn't pay attention. I just kind of lazily drew not a good diagonal, as you can see the other line there. And now I'm just correcting it and drawing one because I want to make sure that it goes all the way to from one point on one side, and then opposite of that, the opposite point pretty much, to make my Christmas tree. And then now this is an old jar that had peanut butter, and I washed the label, soaked it, got the label off and everything. And I use those for all kinds of things in my house. I don't buy mason jars. I just reuse jars. And that one holds a bunch of binder clips for different projects. The plain black ones that aren't pretty, so I'm not going to use them like in photos and stuff to decorate my planners. But I use them for projects like this. So I put a binder clip at the top and the bottom, and then I'm going to put 2 in the center just to really hold the poster board still, so that when I cut, I'm cutting into 2 sides of it, so 2 layers, that I won't mess up and have a jagged messed up tree. And then at the bottom you want to make sure and draw a line like I just did, so that it is even and everything looks really neat and parallel whenever you get ready to work and set up and post up your Christmas tree. So I'm just cutting it out along the diagonal, and there we go. We got everything is even at the bottom. I've got my nice little hump there in the middle where the fold is, and it's nice and neat at the top for the point, and this is going to be the Christmas tree. Okay, now this paint that I'm using is not from Dollar Tree. I actually got it at Goodwill, probably 2 years ago, and it was not in good shape. I mean, it was full, but when I opened it, it looked like it had been in there for years, like it was new, but probably had been in someone's craft room for ages and never used. But I just shook it up, and I shook it up, and I shook it up, and stirred it and stirred it, and I was like, this is gonna work. And so someone else might have thrown it out, but I just said, I think I can make this work. So I kept stirring it until now it is a little sticky, which is totally fine for me. It kind of helped to adhere to the poster board, and I am painting on the matte side of the poster board. I don't know if you realize that, but one side is glossier than the other, and that helps it adhere. And so the thickness of it kind of made it sort of like chalk paint, which worked for me. I think it just helped everything adhere well. I mean, it didn't smooth on, or it didn't come on as smooth as fresh paint would have been, but it worked just fine. And I did 2 coats of that. And now you can see what I actually look like when I'm at home and I'm not going somewhere, and I'm, just working that day. I'm trying to be better about actually wearing makeup and, wearing some regular clothes more often at home for my husband, since he works at home most of the time now. So I'm just showing you right there that that's tape, and I am doing a pretty good job of getting dressed more often and not looking like this. But I wanted to show you that that's just tape that I'm using, and I only put the tape along the edges of the tree. I'm using Framers tape. Again, Framers tape, because it's a really good quality tape that adheres really well, and when you take it off the wall, it won't stick to anything, but it holds perfectly well. You can use masking tape as well. I just don't like how masking tape yellows, and sometimes it doesn't stick anymore after a little while. But this is just for the season, so there is no need for you to go and buy Framers tape. You can just use masking tape. And that way I positioned it so, which it took me forever, but I positioned it so that the fold in the middle was up kind of like a little mountain, and gave it dimension, and I wanted to make sure it was straight. So when you see me not in the frame, it's because I'm stepping back to see, is this straight? Is it puffed up enough in the middle? And do I have it just sticking on the sides? And then I finally got it where I liked it. So now on the back of all of those pieces is a little round raised sticker. And so I'm just using the hot glue gun to put a dollop of glue on that little circular part, because the sticker is adhering to the wood very well. And so, but I don't think that the sticker will probably last forever against the poster board, so I'm hot gluing all of those pieces. So we've got the snowflakes in pink and the forest green trees, and then we've got the gold glittery stars. And I just kind of position them the way that I thought they would look good. In the end, I'm going to have a space there toward the top underneath the stars, between those gold stars and the pink snowflakes at the top, and I'm going to later on add another tree on there, so you'll see that in a little bit. So you guys see me squinting because I cannot see. I have such bad eyesight. I remember looking at people years ago who were older, and they'd be wearing their glasses, and they'd take their glasses off and then put them back on. I thought, I don't understand why they can't see. And now I am that person. Okay, so this bow right here was in a previous video, one of my craft room videos from when we were in an apartment, and and I used it to decorate part of that area that I set up where I split my living room. Well, I use them now to, or had been using them now to hold some curtains in place. And now I said, no, these will look really good for the topper for my paper tree, my poster board tree from Dollar Tree. So I made those a long time ago, and I just tied it into a bow, and then I hot glued the bow at the top, and it's got the pom-poms that I made. And there's 3 actually on one side and 2 on the other side, and then I just trimmed the ribbon so it'd be even. And now I'm hot gluing that other tree right there to make everything look more symmetrical. And I'm holding it for forever. I didn't need to do that. Okay, so now for what I intended to have as the Christmas presents, really want to be more of the base of the tree. And these are, you can see the tape there at the bottom, so all this is just taped. But these containers used to hold coconut oil from Sprouts from the grocery store, and after I used them all, I washed them out, took off the labels. I did have to soak those labels, and they're real pretty white containers. One of them I couldn't find the lid. I found it later, and so what I decided to do was just remove the lid from another one, so 2 of them cannot have lids, and then I tie the bows and stuff. So I have Dollar Tree ribbon in a light pink as part of this entourage. I have some Dollar Tree yarn. That's the kind that you use to make scarves. And then I have some Dollar Tree raffia. That's wrapped around all of these to make my sort of present slash trunk. I think it looks more like the trunk of the tree, but it's so pretty. And I just did different combinations of those materials, and I just pressed them against the wall. So you'll see here in a little bit later on that every day, maybe 2 or 3 times a day when I walk past it, I just put pressure with my arm to try to make sure that they stay up there. They have not fallen off. I don't know if they'll last all season, so I just press up against them a couple of times a day. And if I need to add tape and just put it back up there, I will. So now I'm taking an ornament from another DIY from a previous video that I made using Dollar Tree materials, and I am just tracing around that. I'm going to trace about 10 of these. So this was originally a wood piece, and you can check that out in the video. Just a plain wood piece, really thin wood piece that I covered and created. It was an ornament, but I changed the look of it with some Mod Podge and craft paper and paint and all that good stuff. And so now I'm just tracing about 10 of them. Now I wish I had traced 11 of them, because that way I could have had the one in the center, which basically would have been the 11th one, and then 5 on each side, and would have been totally balanced. But I didn't. I only did 10, so in the end I had to put something in the center to balance it, and you'll see that in a little bit. And I'm just using the leftover poster board that I had from making the Christmas tree, and just, using that up before I go on to the next thing. So now I'm just cutting out each of the things, the bells that I traced. And for me, the easiest way to do that is to first just cut around them, just cut them, separate them from each other. And that just gives me room so that when I'm individually cutting out each bell, then I can maneuver it much easier. Like I can turn it and twist it. Ooh, somebody's driving fast. Did y'all hear that? I think that might have been a motorcycle. Okay, so yeah, so I just kind of cut them to separate them, and that just makes it easier so that whenever I get each individual one, I can really just turn it and twist it and cut it. So, and I don't know why I should have sped this part up. You're just watching me cut the pieces apart. But while I'm doing that, I'll ask you guys, have you started making your Christmas DIYs, and are you going to decorate your craft room? Let me know in the comments below. Are you going to decorate your craft space? Because for me, this is like my special place, and I want it to look beautiful, and I want it to fit the colors that I like, and I don't need to worry about what anybody else thinks. So there you see, I cut one of them out. And the way that it looks right now, I could have just left it like that. Instead of cutting all of the little intricate spaces here at the top of the bell, and then the part down there, the part that dings in the bell, I forget what you call that, what the proper word is for that. It does look nice and neat by cutting those out using my little Dollar Tree scissors for the narrow spaces, but it looked just fine without me doing that as well. So now I'm taking some more Dollar Tree paint, the same one that I used to paint the snowflakes, and I'm cutting all of my little poster board pieces, and of course I'm painting on the matte side. And I did in the end paint 2 coats on each of these, and the paint works really well. I mean, 2 coats. Now you could have done 3 maybe. I think they look just fine with only 2 coats, so that's all I did. So I got those all painted, and then because they are I don't know, well, because they're paper and they're small and they're not what is the word that I'm looking for? They're not wood. Then whenever they were wet, they kind of bent up a little bit. So I'm just, bending them down so they look nice and flat. And now I'm taking a Dollar Tree hole punch, and I'm just punching a hole into the top part of the bell. And I had to really pay attention and be conscientious because there is a hump at the top of the bell, kind of like the bell handle, and there's a ball there at the bottom that's kind of shaped the same way, and I needed to make sure that I punched the hole in the top or handle of the bell, otherwise it would have been messed up, and I don't know that I could have made that look right. And you guys, I cannot remember the word for the part of the bell that actually hits up against it and makes the ding sound. So if you know that word, I mean, it's not a common word, it's not a word that I would remember without looking it up. So if you know, put that in the comments below for me. So this is also Dollar Tree, I want to say ribbon, it's not ribbon, yarn, Dollar Tree, and I love this yarn. I got it in tons of colors because it is so super soft. And so I'm just using that to go through the holes for all of the bells, all 10 of them. They look so pretty just like that, don't they? The pink and green. And so then I'm going to tie each of those bells around some raffia. And I just measured out to make sure I had enough to go across the entire wall where I'm going to put that. And I was trying to be careful to position them evenly here at this point, but then I realized later that I didn't need to do that because since I am tying them with yarn around raffia, as long as you don't tie them super tight, then it was easy for me to just slide them. So I did position them to just be tied on here where I thought they needed to be while when I did that. But then when I laid them out to get ready to put them on the wall, I was like, oh, I don't need to worry about that. They don't have to be perfectly placed. So then when I actually put them on the wall, then I slid them around to make sure everything looked pretty even. And of course it worked out perfectly in the end. So yeah, here I'm just tying the first one on there, and I'm just speeding this up a little bit and showing you guys where I positioned the other ones. And I didn't need to worry really about them being tied on there perfectly either, because I can just reposition them when they got on the wall. So, some of them might be twisted a little bit, and then I just did it on the wall. I just used my step stool and put it up there. Yeah, so another question for you guys. I know it's not even Thanksgiving yet, and we're doing our Christmas stuff, but do you set up and start decorating before Thanksgiving? Before YouTube, I never would. I would always wait until Thanksgiving Day, but it's a new day, new season in my life. And here they are, you guys. Here's everything up on the wall. So you can see there right above the tree, I used some Dollar Tree pink burlap that I've had since I think Valentine's Day last year, to put just a shoestring bow there on top above the tree, because that way I could have 5 bells on the right side and 5 bells on the left side. And I think it looks much more balanced that way, you guys. And here's a much closer look at the tree. I love it. I feel like the color and the paint, the texture of the paint, because it was old, just makes it look almost velvety, almost like I bought this tree this way. And there's different angles. And so now I'm just putting pressure on all of those little bases to show you. That's what I do like a couple times a day, just to make sure it's staying stuck really nicely. Yeah, you guys, well, while we just get different angles of looking at all of this, and I've got tons more things I plan on doing for this craft room, you guys. I want to thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe and comment and share. It really helps my channel a lot, you guys. And also, if you want to check out all of my different creative ventures and adventures, just check me out on Instagram at Organized Planner Chic, and you can see all different types of colorful pictures of all my different things. Also, I have 2 Facebook groups. The one for anyone around the world is called Organized Planner Chic Crew, and there we do giveaways, and we also just post all different types of posts and videos and lives and all that good stuff just about every day, and staying in touch about all of our planning and arts and crafts projects. And then I have a local group called Phoenix Planner Friends for Christ. We normally meet in person once a month, but because of COVID, we've been doing everything online, but we're going to meet up here this month. And if you're interested in supporting me on Patreon, just go to patreon.com/organizedplannerchic. And until next time, everyone, happy planning!